welcome back to TC911 Beyond the Call podcast. This is episode 6, and I am your host, Abbey Dudek, the communications coordinator at Tarrant County 911 District. And today I have the amazing pleasure of talking with Stacy here at Medstar Healthcare. She is one of the supervisors here. Hello, Stacy.
Good morning, Abby.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah. You are a supervisor here at Medstar. Do you want to maybe start talking about how your career path here at Medstar? First off, maybe we should talk about how Medstar, we've talked to other agencies that dispatch their own medical, but Medstar, tell us how Medstar works.
So Medstar is a secondary PSAP. By that I mean we get the calls, the 911 calls are routed through the police department, and once the police department notices that it's a medical, then they send it to us, and if it's fire, they send it to fire. So we actually dispatch medical ambulances, and then if our medical director sets the criteria that fire is needed or police are needed on specific calls, then we dispatch them as well.
First off, remind us what PSAP means, because I'm always testing my listeners to see if they've listened to all my other episodes, because it talks about a lot. And go with it, Stacy. What does it mean? Public Safety Answering Point. Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for? You get to be on my podcast.
Excellent. Good news.
Winner. So what's in Tarrant County, and I know you have some of the outside of Tarrant County, what are your servicing areas for Medstar?
So currently we have, Fort Worth is the biggest. We have Burleson currently, White Settlement, Hazlet, Saginaw, Lake Worth, Lakeside, Haltom City, Blue Mound, Forest Hill,
Edgecliff Village.
And Edgecliff.
Yeah.
And Westworth and Westwood Village and
Westover Hills.
Oh.
So, folks, if you're driving around the Tarrant County area or in those areas and you always see Medstar boxes running around, they cover so much. I always enjoy, bless these men and women that are out there doing that, especially in this heat. They will, because a lot of people ask me, they're like, how come there's an ambulance parked here? Or how come they're parked here? And I was like, because they're waiting for a call. They're not going to come back here because, Medstar, for all you don't know, Medstar is off of 30 off of Altamere. And wait, did I say that? No, Altamere. Is it not Altamere?
Yeah, it's
Altamere?
Altamere.
Okay.
And 30, and then we have a second hub up north off of North Tarrant.
Yeah.
Medical City Alliance.
Yeah, there you go. So a lot of times if you see these amazing men and women sitting in their ambulances, they're not just taking a breather and having a 7-Eleven Slurpee. They are actually waiting for calls. It always scares me too when you're in traffic and then they get a call in traffic and they're right behind you and they turn your lights on and you're like, oh God, I'm doing everything I can to get out of your way. So move over for these emergency vehicles, move over any emergency vehicle because they're going to save lives.
Yes.
So, and how are they on their way? From our good friends in the Communications Center.
That is true.
So how long have you been at Medstar?
It will be 36 years next month.
You started when you were 12, right?
Of course I did.
Oh my gosh, you're so spry.
So I started as a medic in the field, and I worked in the field for several years. I can't even remember what year I moved up to the Communication Center. I'm sorry. I believe it was in 94, but I still worked out in the field part-time as a medic, and then I worked on the mounted team. So
the mounted team?
Yes, we have a mounted team.
Wait, Medstar, I don't want to sound silly, but are you talking about like horses and stuff?
Horses, of course.
It's
Fort Worth. You got to have a mounted team.
I got it. I've been here for 11 years now. I'm officially a Texan. I should know this stuff. So you guys have a Medstar horse brigade?
Well, it was more active several years prior. We've kind of dwindled down on doing any horse functions, although I think that they're trying to reactivate that. But yes, we do have a mounted team, and we primarily did most of the parades or demos and stuff out in the community. I wanted to do like the search and rescue, any of the tornadoes or the events that happen that would cause, not that we're going to get...
like disaster events.
Yeah. I know we had earthquakes here a couple of years ago, but they weren't like going to cause much damage.
Yeah, massive earthquakes.
But lost children or kids that get lost out in some of our rural areas to go out with the police department, because obviously they're going to probably need medical attention once they're found. So ultimately that's what I wanted to do with the mounted team, kind of...
That's amazing.
Support the the police mounted team as well.
My first, your shock value will be 0 at this, but my first initial, I just totally pictured like just a horse responding with like a Medstar person just sitting on a horse instead of coming on an ambulance and then just riding in when like, here you go, just go to a regular residential. All the ambulances are busy. We got this horse. We're going to go out there. And I'm like, that would be an amazing turn. Like, hey, what a great response time. Who showed up? Well, they showed up great. I mean, they showed up on a horse, but hey, they got things done, saved lives,
Yeah. Well, the bike team goes down to West 7th where it's so congested with vehicles, you can't really get an ambulance. So the bike team,
I didn't know that. So you guys are on mountain bikes also down there, just like police kind of patrol on their little bikes.
Yes.
Oh, wow. See, I have to be educated also, but I also, with the medical side, I try not to call you guys a lot. Just that one time. Or was it two? No, I only think I called once. I think it was like last Christmas or 2 Christmases ago or something like that. So
when you were on the trails?
Yeah, when I was on the trail.
With your little duck?
With Chuck the bike duck. Yeah, so that totally, I did that. I got great service though. Great service, great response time. It was amazing. And I do have to say that the young man in the ambulance, I wish I like, well, I'm sure it's all in there somewhere in there. There was a young man on there. It was a young gal and a young guy, and they were amazing. And I was so impressed with him because out of all of my medical stuff that I had done, a lot of people struggle with getting my vein, like to get a needle in my veins and stuff because they're so tiny. And he did it like, I didn't even know he did it. And I was like, congratulations, man. You are amazing. Because no one can. I was so impressed with him.
Glad to hear that. Very glad to hear.
Yeah, I love saying that kind of stuff because it's just, people need to know how great some of these men, a lot of these men and women are that are out in the first responder world, especially in ambulance services and everything. So you've been here for, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide what I want to do with my life.
What are you going to do when you become a big kid?
Yeah.
So you came back in from working on the field and you came into the communications center, and were you a frontline dispatcher? Had you not been promoted to supervisor, or have you always came in as a supervisor?
No, I worked as just a 911 call taker. Okay. I became a supervisor just a couple of years after that. But when we started in our communication center, you'd had to have been a medic for a minimum of 5 years in our system before you could come up to the communication center, because we didn't have what we currently do now, which is an EMD certification. So back then,
emergency medical dispatch.
Yes,
it's okay. You know what, our friends at home, they love it when we have so many initial stuff. I got to tell them. So we got to make sure. So when you call Medstar or any of some of our dispatch centers that have their own ambulance system, these dispatchers are EMD certified to do emergency medical dispatch, which is a program that helps them along. Like it'll time CPR, right?
It helps with any of the instructions that we need. Most of the people that we hire now are more lay people, meaning they don't have to have any medical background or knowledge. Terminology does kind of help, but we do have a terminology class. But literally, it's kind of a structured call. It kind of helps you help the caller provide answers so that we can get the information to the crew. And being an EMD certification is actually a first responder. Mm-hmm. So you're truly a first responder, even though you're not hands-on in the field, you're hands-on over the phone. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, great thing for Texas is all 911 they're all 911 first responders in the eyes of Texas. So that's wonderful. But yeah, to have that EMD training is very crucial in life saving too. So I'm really glad. And you said that you teach it. You're going to be teaching it.
No,
teaching
I've been teaching it.
You've been teaching it, yes.
I became an EMD instructor last year, and again, there's requirements that the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch requires, and then you do a bunch of classroom for yourself, and then you do a bunch of classroom teaching with a senior instructor before you can get checked off. So I enjoy teaching it now.
Oh, that's amazing. I bet you're an awesome teacher. Do you have them just say Stacy, or do you make them pronounce your last name?
No, I do tell them it's the common spelling of my last name, though.
Of course you would.
No.
So do you want to share everybody what your last name is?
Sure. It's Ukrainian, so it's Sokolski. People confuse it with the Russian, or they call me Polish. but it's Ukrainian, so.
So the reason why Stacy says common spelling as a joke is because when in dispatch land for emergency services, when units are out and they're like, for example, I guess the best example I can think of is when officers are calling in and they want you to run a name or something, and they'll say, usually they'll be like, oh, if it's John Smith or something, they'll be like common spelling, because that's pretty common. But if they're feeling funny, they'll give something like Sokolsky and say common spelling, and then you'll be like, what? I must not have shut up that day in class to know to spell that. But anyway, I love that you're bringing up the different things that you've done. And, like you said, you became a supervisor pretty quickly after coming back would you say in the couple of years? You said a couple of years after you came back into the comm center?
I would say it was about 4 years after I came into the communication center.
Awesome. Now, when you guys have that, was it something that the job is posted and then you apply for it? Do they do it within internally first and then put it out, or how does? Because every city's works differently on that kind of stuff. Some cities in our district, they offer it first to the dispatchers, or they offer it anybody internally, or they go ahead and put it out for everyone.
It was all internal.
Oh, nice.
Because we run so many different cities, we had the I before E rule, if you will, in English language. So back in the day, sometimes the firemen were volunteer for the smaller departments, so we didn't send firemen after a certain hour. And you had to know all these rules for the different cities. So it was much easier for a internal person to move up as a supervisor to know some of the rules and different,
like protocols and things like that you guys
for
had.
The different cities.
That makes sense because you guys have so many, as we went over, and that can't be when you're first coming in brand new. Yeah, that can't be easy at the gate, because you got to learn all of that jazz on who does what, who doesn't do this, and what their protocols are for each individual situation. So I completely understand that. That makes sense. But it's good to know that if someone out there was interested in, like, you know what, wow, I want to work for Medstar because this Stacy gal sounds really awesome and I just want to work with her. You should, because she is awesome. You guys are currently hiring?
We are currently hiring. So if anybody, even those that are just out of high school and you're interested in the medical field, but you're not sure if you want to go out on an ambulance and maybe see it firsthand, or be in the middle of any of trauma, or family get upset when something happens to their loved one. If you don't want to be on scene, you can be behind the scenes and still provide very much needed assistance. Sometimes it's just that voice on the other end of the line, and sometimes it's CPR or birthing instructions, stopping the bleed. Mm-hmm. So there are very, very good opportunities for somebody that still wants to be a first responder but doesn't really want to touch someone.
I totally get it. That'd be me.
On scene. Yeah.
I don't do well with medical stuff, so I really enjoy having folks out there that are EMTs and doctors and nurses. Bless y'all. We love y'all. I could never do that. Nope. Can't do an injection to someone. No way. But that's great to know too, and that's a great thing to bring up too, because I don't think people think of that. When I'm out in the public, I hear people talk about be like, oh, I want to be a paramedic, or even a firefighter, or even a police officer. Start in dispatch, and especially be an EMT, and build your career here up at Medstar, because clearly they promote within, and once you have your foot in the door, you get to know people, and you get to know the lay of the land, since it's so huge.
Yes, that's very helpful. We've had several people come up through logistics, which is the resupply of the vehicles, which is extremely important, because you got to have the equipment on the truck for the paramedics and EMTs to be able to do their jobs. So some people come up through logistics to kind of get their feet wet, learn the trucks, or learn the area, because they also resupply the trucks in the different hospital areas. Or they come into the communication center, and then eventually they choose to become an EMT or a paramedic. We don't want to lose them, and I think that once they're in our communication center, they'll appreciate the air conditioning.
Oh, yeah, the win-win there.
Yes.
Win-win. That's also poor Texas and the scorching heat.
Yes. I always feel for the animals too. So
I do too. Oh my gosh, I do too. When I see stray dogs or something like that, I'm like, oh, I want to take you home, but I don't know how mine too will handle that, because mine are kind of nuts. So, but also too, like when you see the cows out in the fields and everything, I don't know how. I'm not very well knowledged in farm life, so I don't know if that affects them Like cows, I don't know, horses. You know horses.
Yeah, and the cows, they all get hot.
Yeah.
And horses especially, you've got to give them, the fresh water, and sometimes, the ones at our house get electrolytes right now to encourage their drinking, and salt blocks, mineral blocks.
Oh. Are they like drinking Powerades, or what's up over there? They're chugging Monsters. Here we go.
Well, sometimes on a dehydrated horse, they'll put the Gatorade mixture in with the water and
like
stuff.
Like the powdered stuff that you buy? Oh, that's smart. Now, see, there you go. Drink your Gatorade, drink your Powerade.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, yes. Medstar is also really good about, everyone needs to follow them on social media because you guys share a lot of good information. You not only do you share like heat warnings and things like that, but you guys are very in with the community. You do a lot of different events. You promote a lot of blood drives and everything. And you also share statistics of heat-related calls and everything. I love seeing that because it's just, it's kind of an educational moment for everyone to be like, hey, this is happening. Talk to loved ones, check on people when it's this hot,
yes.
or if it gets cold again, heaven help us if that happens again. So,
yes. Matt Zavodsky does a very, very good job.
Oh, he's brilliant.
With our public.
Yeah, really brilliant. I even get his emails. I feel so special. I'm always like, oh, yay, I know what's going on.
But there's so much information that he puts out there, educational. He relays our statistics here, good, bad, or indifferent. They go out to the public so that they have that working knowledge. So, yeah, if you have not joined the Medstar Facebook page, try to and see what information that it can provide you. We do the CPR classes and the Stop the Bleed. They do a lot of demos at the different elementary and middle schools, and then of course we do some standbys in the area.
Yeah, and you guys are at there. I get to meet a lot of your wonderful men and women on the ambulance team because they're usually at a lot of events that I'm at, and everybody always puts us right next to each other. They're like, oh, well, we'll put Medstar and 911. That makes sense. Put us together. Yeah. So that's just wonderful. And it also shows too, like there's so many different career paths you can take here just in Medstar alone. Yes. And so that's good to know. But of course, the best place is going to be in the communications room with Miss Stacy here. So
thank you.
So if someone was interested in applying, what is your hiring process since, you're technically, like we talked about, you're a secondary PSAP. You don't have the police stuff. You don't run background. You don't have to do all the police side of things. This is also my own personal knowledge too, because I'm not sure. What's your hiring process on that?
Well, it's been a minute since I applied.
But I didn't know if you maybe were part of like the hiring team or interviewing team or
I do
anything
get to
like
help
that.
interview if I'm here and I'm available. Basically, you can go online and apply at medstar.com, and then they have careers, and you can apply online, fill out the application, and I believe that there is maybe like a personality test or just a test that you do online. If I'm wrong and mistaken, forgive me. But then our HR department will reach out to you and have you fill out what other additional forms, and then they do a critical test, I know, online.
Everyone in our district, pretty much everyone anywhere, if you're going to put a headset on for emergency services, critical is critical.
Yes.
On the last one of our other podcasts, one of the supervisors informed me that there are free practice tests, and we actually went online and found them. During the podcast, I typed in and found them. And if you want the whole thing, you have to pay for it, of course. Hello, that's how we run. That's how people run. It's not our test. Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. It's not our test. It's someone else's. But they do give you a little bit of a little bit of a test of it with a free version.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to try that again, you can do that. But yeah, that's definite across the board. I think the difference maybe, I don't want to speak about this, but I don't know if you guys do like the hiring pack or the background packet, the personal history statement. Like, and when you apply for law enforcement, like the police side of stuff, there's like a college dissertation that you have to fill out for it because they got to know everything.
Yes.
And I didn't know if you guys have that too.
I believe not to the extent that the police does.
Because you guys aren't checking backgrounds and have other access to other information. But you do have, obviously, HIPAA. Cool. People got to be careful with that.
Yes. We've got the HIPAA. And then, of course, you're going to be a first responder. Mm-hmm. So you can't have, like, felonies. And there has to be certain requirements. But anybody could actually check with HR, or I could check with HR. I do know the critical test, you have to pass it with whatever marks that our department has set, our manager has set. And once you pass that, then you get invited for an interview.
Yeah.
And so the interview, it's very intimidating. I'm sure 3 or 4 people sitting across from you asking you all these questions, and it can be very intimidating, but seriously, it's a great career. It's a great job to have. And if you can get through the hiring process, which is just a little bit, you have to do your drug screen, and then you come in. Once you do get hired, you have a orientation, a couple of days, and then you go through your EMD class, your CPR class, and we provide all those certifications for you. So that's
so
something.
You get on the job training just like you would at any other 911 center in our district. And the hiring, that is one thing that we've been trying to tell people. It can be it's not a fast process with emergency services because they have to check backgrounds. They have to, y'all, when you get hired in emergency services, whether it's Medstar, whether it's, a primary PSAP, and you have to have a clean background. And we've talked about this before. Be honest.
Yes.
Just put it all on there. Okay. Honesty's the best policy. And, like you said, if they have questions, they can reach out, because all your guys' information of contact is on your website. And then you also share too when you're hiring on your social media. So if you're following Medstar, then you'll have no problem finding out their information. So there you are.
Yeah, come work with us. We enjoy some of the newer people coming in, and because we're growing. Tarrant County's growing.
Oh my gosh, it is like a weed. Because I think Fort Worth Magazine said, or one of the Fort Worth publications just released it not that long ago, that we were like, I'm going to probably say it wrong and someone's going to be like, that's not correct. But just bear with me. I think it was like we're the 5th largest growing city in the country. I think it's I know it's under 10. We're in the top 10. I'm pretty sure we're in the top 5. Could be wrong.
I know that we were the 13th largest city several years ago in the United States, and it's only going to be a matter of time before we outgrow Dallas. Dallas has more population, but we have more land, so it's just a matter of time before.
Not much longer.
I know. And I know Tarrant County for the state of Texas was the largest growing county last year, I believe. I think my statistic might be a little dated by a couple of years, but I remember reading that. Maybe this is where I'm getting the 5, but the point being is that we're rapidly rising on these charts of how fast we're going. But for a while there, we were the 4th or 5th within the rapid growth, like the percentage of growth each year. We were in the top 5 in the United States because it just like boomed. Because I remember when I started the district, like almost 7 years ago, there was like 1.7 million people in Tarrant County, and now there's like 2 million or 2.1, a few people, a plethora, a bushel. Yes.
But I think there's like 2.1 or 2.2. I think it's 2.1 million now. I'm like, that's insane for under even like a 10-year mark. I know that we're super cool and everyone wants to live here, but that's a lot of people. So
it is.
Like you said, we're going to have to, all these agencies are going to expand and they're going to have to get more people. So, apply for a great career and I would assume your benefits are wonderful. And
yes,
do they start right away?
Yes.
See, there you go. Day one, you get benefits.
You start with your benefits, and we're always hiring because of that growth. When I started in the communication center, there was just 2 of us, and we took calls and dispatched those.
Oh my gosh.
Orally, like over the radio, and now we have a different CAD system, and it kind of dispatches for us, so we don't have to do as much talking on the radio. But we have a minimum of 8 call takers now, and then
so because you've been here for a hot minute. What are some of the things that, because I kind of love like the history of like, what did Tarrant County look then to her now? Like, is there, I know there's significant changes. I've only been here 11 years and I can tell when there used to be nothing somewhere and now there's apartments or something.
Yes.
What is a very significant area that when you go by it in Tarrant County, you're like, oh my gosh, this used to be out in boonies or something, but now it's just another part of Fort Worth, or it's just another part of Tarrant County, like building a city. Is there any like specific or significant area that just kind of pops out to you that used to just be farmland, or just
everything north of the loop?
Touche, grasshopper.
Everything north of the loop has been amazingly quick to grow and spread. It's just busy, and it's busy up there. In fact, I just lived on North Riverside outside the loop, and I had horses there because it was country, and there were cows all around us, and it was crazy. Now there's hospitals up there, Texas Motor Speedway, all the apartments, businesses, everything.
Apartments. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the houses just boom, 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 going all up. It's like any land that can be found is going to be turned into a subdivision.
That's one of the reasons that Medstar built one of the second hub up there, just because, number one, the roads were hard to get to, and get units that cleared the hospitals in our central area back up there. So now that we have hospitals up there, when they clear, we have them more readily available. But they actually start shifts up there. So they start shift in the mornings during rush hour, or at night during rush hour. So they're already up in the northern area. So if there's any accessibility issues, they're still there, obviously. If you have a wreck on the freeway or traffic, I mean, we have the same traffic delays and have some of the same traffic laws as all the other drivers. So
no, that's so true, because I feel, and this is just my own opinion, I feel that the traffic up north, because I was living up there, and then now I live South Fort Worth, and it's a little bit different. It doesn't seem as hectic all the time. And it's even on the weekends, I always think of emergency services too. I'm just like, oh, how do these people make that happen? Because it could just get crazy, especially 35, that will be consistently worked on until now in my death. So, as it grows, they're doing a beautiful job. And I appreciate them, but it's like, by
the time they finish, we're going to have flying cars, and we won't need I-35.
And you know what? And then I'll feel so bad for all those men and women that took all that time. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know what, you guys, we're good. We actually have the flying DeLorean here. We're good. And a little Back to the Future reference there. But it was, even going on the weekends, there was always traffic, and trying to get out in certain streets that didn't have signal lights and things. And then they started putting in the roundabouts.
Yes, those are very, I know they're supposed to increase less accidents or decrease the accidents, whatever
I don't know. I always am curious of, like, I wonder what the tactic was for that, or a strategic plan was for that. And I know they can probably be confusing if you had no experience with them or whatnot. You just want to make sure when you're in the roundabout that you keep going. Like, you don't stop for someone coming in. They just yield to you, and you all just kind of flow. If you want to see an example of a scary roundabout, watch National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Yes.
When he's like, I can't get right. So Chevy Chase is trying to get out of this roundabout because he went on the inner lane. We don't have those excessive amounts, but it's more frustrating to try to get into the roundabout with traffic coming on. So just be careful. You guys have one down here.
Weatherford Traffic Circle.
Oh, that one I've seen a lot of close calls.
Yes.
I'm sure that there's even...
Some of our own employees have gotten in accidents there, either coming to work or going home. Oh. I just know the roundabouts are nowhere in the driver's ed training.
Are they not?
Well, my son is 24 now, so he took his... when he took his course, they were not in there anywhere.
Wow.
So that's been many years ago.
Well, if anybody has any updated information, if you have a kiddo that is doing driver's ed training and you see roundabout information, let us know. I would like to know if it's in there. It should be in there. Or get a hold of TxDOT Department of Transportation, and tell them, hey, we need to put roundabouts in the educational purpose of it.
Yeah, don't worry about the parallel parking anymore. We need practice on that.
Oh my gosh. That's another thing too. Let's go off topic here, but a lot of people have it great now if they're still testing for parallel parking, because now everybody's got backup cameras.
Yes.
When I was doing, there was no backup cameras, and you just,
I don't have one. I have hitch on the back of mine, and so I have to get out and spot myself to make sure I'm not.
Oh, wow. You got to get like airline cone people directing you to back.
Yes, I do. I do.
Then, yeah, and even I put my bike rack on the back of my personal car.
So, then you've got that extra.
But now my little sensor like keeps beeping at me because it thinks I'm going to run over something because the bike rack is
in the
right
way.
there. And so we went somewhere and I was going to parallel park in, and I was like, but then I'm like, no, I give up. And I didn't even give it a second. I'll go fine. I need to walk. I'm fine. I need to walk. So, yeah, let us know if roundabouts are making their way into driver's education. I don't even know what driver's education consists of anymore, like how long you have to wait now. Because before, back in the day, you literally just, once you turn 16, and this is Illinois, you got your white slip. You could drive with a parent, or once you became in the written part, the classroom part of driver's ed, you got your white slip so you could drive with a parent or whatever. And then you took the class, and then you got your blue slip, and then it was all quick, and you just had to wait for your birthday if you weren't 16 yet. But with the blue slip, you could drive with anybody who had their license. That's super safe. And then, because then your buddy who just got your license, like, yeah, let's go. And then once you turned 16, you take your blue slip, you went to the DMV, and you went and got your license. I don't think it's like that anymore. I think you have to get like hours of driving in or something, right?
So when I did it back in the day, and I'm much older than you, I got my hardship. So my sister and I both got ours at 15 because we had jobs after school. And so we would get a hardship license, but nobody could ride with us like a younger, or your siblings could if you were dropping them off at school or something, but you couldn't have like all your friends with you.
Yeah, you couldn't have a party bus going around. That makes sense.
But when my son took it, my daughter and son, I did their driver training. You have an option of going through the school, if it's not full of the classes, or hiring a private, driver's ed, or having your parent teach you, which you have to log the hours, and they have to do the online classes through the TxDOT. And then you've got to find one of the places that are open and can take you, because now they're 2-3 months out just to get a driver's license.
Oh, no. In last podcast, when we were talking to Anissa, I think it was when I was talking to Anissa, she asked she asked me something about, we asked if people could see people's driver's license pictures on returns or something like that. And she was like, oh, when's the last time you got your driver's license picture done? I was like, actually recently. But I was not aware. Yeah. Again, to remind people, you have to make appointments. There's no more walking into driver's license facilities and being like, oh, I'm here for an address change or this. No, you have to do get online, make your appointment. And my appointment was like a month or two out before I could come back and see him again. But now I'm good, and I don't have to go back for 8 years.
That's excellent.
I know. I went in there for an address change. He's like, you want to update your license is going to expire in 2024. Do you want to go ahead and renew it? I'm like, all right. But then he had to take my picture, and it's horrible. I talked about that last time. So if you're really interested in that conversation, you can go listen to the last podcast and hear that fun story. So roundabouts, be careful. Don't stop in the roundabout. Keep the flow of traffic going.
Well, unless there's a wreck or somebody's in there, then of course you have to stop. But yes.
Small dog, turtle, horse, whatever. Stop for somebody or
yes.
Emergency vehicle coming through. Yes, stop.
Stop, slow down, and move over.
Yes, and yes, definitely. And that's the thing with these roundabouts too. Is again, that's why I say when you're actually in it, you don't stop for the incoming traffic coming up. They're supposed to yield for you. So that can cause some wrecks too, because the person behind you doesn't realize, because they know you're not supposed to be stopping, and then they may do that. So just kind of keep the flow by slow speeds and be careful. Yes. So I know I have to go that way when I leave here.
Up north to the roundabouts or the Weatherford traffic?
No, the south is the Weatherford traffic circle.
Yes.
As you call it. So now I'm like, guess we're ending this on a good note. Yeah. Hopefully on a safe note. But thank you so much, Stacy, for your time today and sharing your career path and everything. And congratulations on all your years of service here on Medstar and what you do for the community and helping everyone, and helping your fellow first responders as you're teaching. So not even just here at Medstar, but now teaching so many of them. Is it just in Texas? Are you going outside of Texas?
Just in Texas right now. And I'm an in-house instructor, so we do the classes here, but as you said, they come from different agencies and take the class with me. So thank you. And I'm very still passionate about what I do. I love it. And you can too.
I love it. Little plug there. You can too. And you can work with Stacy and she can guide you and bring you up. And I'm sure one day she's be looking to pass that torch, and maybe that torch will be going on to you. So go to medstar.com. You can check out their employment there and you can start the application process. And like Stacy said, if you have any questions, you can contact them, their HR department, and ask any hiring questions that you may have. They're super nice here. I can vouch for that. I've talked to a lot of people here and they're always friendly and they do a great job, the men and women out there. So thank you to all Medstar personnel in dispatch and on the ambulances for helping save lives and doing what you do. And please take care of yourself in this heat. So again, Stacy, thank you. This was fun. Wasn't that scary, was it?
No, it wasn't. Thank you for having me, Abby.
No problem. Everyone, thanks for listening. We'll have a new podcast episode where we talk to another supervisor or a manager from one of our many 911 communication center here in Tarrant County 911 districts. And until next time, have a fabulous week.